Thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to talk about USA and education in the USA. Most of the reason for talking about USA and the education system and all is because I had an opportunity to work with many universities in the US, particularly studying in the US as a student. So I've particularly seen myself as one of the person who had an opportunity to stay in the US for 3 years and have done my MBA. So today I'm going to talk about USA as a whole, as far as the education in the US is concerned. And then I'm also going to talk about undergraduate education in the US precisely because there are great opportunities for students when they are looking to study in the US after their class 12. So let's get started. So there may be reasons that why do you want to study in the US and why study in the US is all about. So today what are we going to discuss? I've created this in most 5 section or the section of the presentation where you would definitely having the right idea about why study as the destination we think of United States of America. In second part, I would talk more on the parents' perspective, where we will debunk a couple of myths that any student or the parents would have. The opportunities for students after high school, after class 12. And then, of course, we'll talk about more on the college program and the opportunities as a student that you could do other than the classes. And the most important part is to make the entire education experience and the education in the US being more on the affordable side, where we're going to talk about scholarships and the financial aid. So I hope you're going to have an informative session with me today. Okay, so there may be many um, options or opportunities that you may have listened about where you would know why someone should go abroad or go US for higher education is to be better exposure, practical experience, personal growth, networking, better career opportunities. But I would want to talk about just two things that you really need. One is the experience. So while you're going to be there for 4 years of education or 2 years of masters, the most you care about is your life over the 4 years or the 2 years. So the kind of experience that you're going to get is unlike any other country in the world. Why? Because people are so friendly. They all are there to help you, assist you with your education and career plans. Number two, you make it more affordable education. In general, if you say the information flying in the air is US is expensive. There is no doubt about US is an expensive country to live in, to study in. But if you look at the scholarships and the opportunities offered to international students in terms of financial aid, you can really make it a super affordable, and we will talk about it in the later slide. So the first is your experience and then making your education affordable. Second is that once you graduate, you have a great amount of time to spend, um, you know, working, and then you make highest salary. So if become a computer science students graduate in the US versus any other country, all you have to do is to Google that which country gives you the highest paid salary, and you'll find US is the destination. All right. But when you make a decision about studying in the US, you basically go through so many myths. So my job is to understand the the experience that the student or the parents in a dinner table on a dinner table talking about no why you want to go abroad or no there are many institutions in India. So the most basic reason on a dinner table that you discuss is that we do not have any awareness. We have a lack of appropriate guidance. They would never think out of the box. They know that if a student is in India, would study in India. If you live in Hyderabad, better to go to college in Hyderabad because you looks like more an immature student. But for your information, there are numerous resources available. There are many support systems, support counselors in the school, outside the school, that the students or the parents can definitely talk to them about. The most reason is you're not aware about studying abroad or studying in the US. So when you have lack of awareness, you do not even reach to the point that you at least explore studying in India versus studying in the US or studying abroad. So for that, you really gotta go out and talk to the number of people like us and like many other people around the world who can really assist you, giving you more guidance on the opportunities abroad. Okay, the number two is you're not ready to take the challenges. So you think you make a perception that I don't even want to go out of the comfort zone that I am at. Who would gonna deal with the weather, food, people, talk in English all the time, and the cultural adaptation, and then new education system, and then more on the practicality side. So many times students or the parents are not even ready to take the challenges or the tough decision that they are about to make. But you got to really know this, that if you don't go for abroad education or studying in the US, tomorrow you're going to continue to study in India, do your bachelor's, do your master's, get into an IT company or a healthcare company who are definitely going to give you one on-site option of going to US, UK, Europe for one time. You'll have to deal with those food options, the weather, the difficulty. So challenge you're going to take it once in your lifetime, whether it's going to be at the time of education or at the time of job. So it's better to make an early decision about studying abroad or studying in the US. Oops, you can move the next slide. Hang on. All right, studying postgraduate is better than the undergraduate. That's the number one concern that I deal with, or any parents that you're going to talk about. Every time you talk to them, they tell you why you want to go now. You're not in the right age to go. Better to take study abroad option or studying in the US option in the next term, which is your master's degree, than going for an undergraduate degree. But there's so many opportunities that you get as an undergraduate student that you don't really feel like going to postgraduate. And I'll talk about it in my later slides. Hang on, I'm just playing with the slides anyway. So before I jump into the next slide, I would definitely want to discuss that it's too expensive. If it's too expensive, you have so many reasons as part of your academically or the profile side that you can really make it super affordable undergraduate education in the US. The best part is if you're academically good, you do not even have to make any separate application to do get these scholarships. You're automatically considered for scholarships, the merit-based scholarships. However, you have different financial aid options available. You have university and outside grants and fellowship. And during your education, to the tenure of your education, you can work as a part-time during your academic, years, and then the full-time summer internships. So on an average, a student could get a very good scholarships to make their tuition and the fee affordable, and then do part-time and summer internships to make the the living expenses gonna be like more on the on paying nothing, because they do not ask for their parents for their monthly expenses, but they do get this by themselves. And there are so many examples like it, like the universities in Michigan or Texas, where you're paying as a full fee, but if you get an assistantship, your entire tuition gets to half, 50%. So this is how there are so many ways you can make it affordable. And I'm going to talk about the scholarships and the financial aid anyway in my later slides. So I'll give you more, examples and more information on that. So the section 2 part is the most important part of my presentation, where we talk about scholarships and the financial aid. Now you must be wondering that scholarships and the financial aid, it's all the same thing, right? But there are difference between the scholarships and the financial aid, and then I want you to really know about it. So when you're applying to scholarships, you're mostly auto considered for scholarships, that is referred as the merit scholarships. Then any university can give you Dean Scholarship, Presidential Scholarship, XYZ Scholarship, Fulbright Scholarship. When I refer to scholarships, it's basically cut down your tuition cost. However, when I talk about financial aid, the financial aid is on the overall cost, which is your tuition and fee, your miscellaneous expenses, your living, which is room and board, and then your all other insurance, and then the books and supplies and transportation and personal expenses. So when a financial aid is being given to you, it's been given to you on the overall cost. I'll elaborate this thing. When you're applying for scholarships, mostly it's auto considered. So you basically get scholarships on the basis of your academics, on the basis of your profile, on the basis of your ACT score, or any other thing in your profile. However, the financial aid is being given to you when you mostly say that my parents' annual income is 20 lakhs per annum, and my parents can only afford 10 lakhs per annum for my education. So we call it as need-based financial aid. And then the university makes a decision if the fee is 50 lakhs or 60 lakhs per annum, and you're contributing 10 lakhs, and university gives you 50 lakhs of aid, that becomes 2 CR of funding over the 4 years. And the 10 lakhs that you pay is not on the tuition, but on the overall cost of we call it cost of attendance. So when you pay 10 lakhs, that 10 lakhs in the financial aid includes your tuition and the fee, your living expense, your personal, your insurance, everything. You'll ended up staying 4 years on campus, and the cost you're paying is 40 lakhs, where the original cost has been 2.60 crores or 2.50 crores. So this is the magic of financial aid. And there are many students like this who have gotten about 90% of the funding from the school. And then the remaining 10% of what they pay, they basically get that when they work for part-time or do the summer internship. These are a couple of my slides where we had students with full funding. I can share you more details on that anyway, where there are many students who got the full funding and scholarships and the financial aid as well. So of course, we are making it more affordable for students. Now, the career opportunities after class 12. So I'm going to give you a couple of options that you have as a student. And then I'm also going to talk about what are the streams that they can get into. So you have enough idea about a class 12 students, but have multiple options to go. So the first is an associate degree, which is the first 2 years of bachelor's degree. So if a student is not really ready after class 12 to go for a bachelor's, they can go for an associate degree or a vocational training. An associate degree would be 2 years. A vocational training could be as low as 9 months. But a student in general from the India and Asian countries do go for bachelor's degree. Every bachelor's is about 4 years, in the US. So student basically gets a 4 years degree. Now, there's one important tool that I want you all of you to know, that many a time when the students or the parents do not make the decision of going to US for higher education, but they really make a decision after they study in India or in Asia for year one or year two, or even if they have gone to Australia, UK, Canada, or any European countries. But they realize that the final destination of the education, further education, should be in the US. These students have an opportunity not to wait for finishing their bachelor's, but they can basically go to the US as a transfer student. Now, when they're going for a transfer students, the first question comes up in the mind is, well, would I have to start from the scratch, from where I begin? But your entire credits or the most of the credits from your current institutions can be transferred out to the US institutions. Isn't it crazy? Would you find that flexible system where you're studying in XYZ college or university in India, or in Hyderabad, or in Indore, or in Jaipur, or in Pune, or in Bangalore? And then after 2 years of computer science, 2 years of BCom, BBA, or healthcare, or public health, or nursing, you basically realize that now I want to go to US for my education. And basically you do your rest of 2 years in the US and get a US degree. So this is all about helping any student transferring. Now the beauty is any student who has gone to a small community college for an associate degree or a bachelor's degree in the US. Student has gone to XYZ community college or university in California and gets the transfer application in the third year to Stanford, UCLA, UC Berkeley, and Caltech. And once you've been admitted to one of those university, you finish your remaining 2 years and you're getting a degree from Stanford University. So you spent your 2 years at a smaller college or a university, and then you spend your last 2 years in a university, and a degree that you get is for top notch. And then there are various opportunities for you for apprenticeship and internships, but mostly it's going to be a part of your associate vocational bachelor's degree or after you go for a transfer student. I hope that helped, especially the transfer student. So when you see anybody who is in India and looking for transferring out, you can, or looking for master's degree, you can even give them an option that you have an opportunity to go for transfer student and then continue your education there. College programs and opportunities, and this is my section 3, so I'm gonna talk a little more about it in my next slide. So the most common questions from students or the parents' point of view is going to be, my son has or daughter has mathematics, but they're not sure where to go. Somebody in the healthcare or biology do not know where to go. Student with commerce background or liberal arts background, or somebody who want to get into design. So I've listed out all the options that a student can basically go in. So anybody who is interested in getting into IT, computer science, cybersecurity, you have that option as a 4 years bachelor's degree. If you want to get into game design, human-centered computing, new media, interactive development, and nowadays we have Bachelor of Sciences in Data Science, Bachelor of Sciences in Artificial Intelligence. So you can get into web designing and mobile computing side, you can get into game design side, you can get into software engineering. So there are many options in the College of Computing and Information Science for you. On contrary to that, students who want to get into the sciences, the health science, they can go for exercise sciences or exercise physiology. If you're looking for MBBS, there is no MBBS in the US. There is no pharmacy in the US. You based in even the optometry. So you basically go for pre-professional program, we call it. So you basically take one of this program as a part of your bachelor's and then apply for MD. So you have pre-veterinary program, healthcare management, health system, whatever you call it, biomedical sciences, nutritional sciences. And if you take one of this program, you basically work as a professional worker. So giving an example, in order to work in the US as a nutritionist, you have to undergo a nutritional science bachelor's degree and then clear an exam which is affiliated to a state or a national exam, and then only you can work. Even somebody who cuts the hair or paint the nail has to have a state licensure examination. Now, if you see, there are many creative students who come, and what is the best about going to a design school in the US? That you're not looking for a job. Contrary to my last slide, if you become a nutritionist, if you become a nurse, you cannot work in the US unless you have a certification from a state licensure board. Whereas at the College of Art and the Science, when you're going for graphic design, interior designing, communication design, jewelry design, you're not gonna wait until you have a bachelor's. You can start your work the day you know the skills, and you can start as the independent contractor and then start as a freelancer to work with so many different industry or the companies, and you make a minimum dollars of that state, which is going to be about 10 to 12 $13 per hour. So you basically sit at home, do the work, and complete your education. The most common student goes, apart from the computers and the IT, is the College of Business. Now, accounting, finance, marketing, supply chain, IT management, these are the 5 top-notch that they take it. But you can always go for BBA, Bachelor's of Sciences in Administration, and take concentration of one, or maybe do it in accounting and finance, or do it in finance with technology, or do it in marketing analytics, or do supply chain or supply chain analytics. The most common with a computer science student or a mathematics student who do not want to get into the college of computer science can get into business with IT management. This is pretty common for many students nowadays, which are taking either business analytics or business IT. So we call it ITM. So many engineering options. This is also one of ongoing option that a student basically goes to, but they basically go for more on the chemical, biomedical, mechanical, electrical, and I think the number 5th is the civil engineering. So these are all options available, all 4 years options. And with mechanical engineering, you can get into automotive side. With civil engineering, you can get into little on architecture side. So you have a lot many of those options available. Somebody who's interested in getting into journalism, neurosciences, you have a College of Liberal Art. College of Liberal Art also give you an opportunity to go for economics, humanities as undergraduate. So you have that option available. Many less students take those options, but you still have good amount of university which has the liberal art. The liberal art college are basically designed as a liberal art college, they call it. So those are not STEM university. So you basically get a liberal art great institutions. Even couple of good liberal art college are going to be there in top 20 in the world. And then of course, students who want to get into architecture or sustainability, urban design, city design, all these options are available as an undergraduate too. Okay. I don't know whether I missed anything or not, but I try to cover the most of the thing. All right. So now whether you're going for an architecture, going for computer science, going for nursing, going for pre-medicine, whatever you name it, what US the country gives you, offers you is a cooperative education. Now, when you listen to co-op, it does not make sense to you at all, but it basically is a great opportunity for international students to basically study and apply this in the industry. So if you're a computer science, you go to, as a student, you still go to you go to a company and basically earn credits, not sitting in the class, but going to the company, and co-ops are always paid. So if you're going for a full-time co-op, you're basically investing your 8 hours in an IT company. An IT company is at least paying you the minimum wages, or it could be up to $25 per an hour too. So if you're making about $20 an hour and working for full time, you're making 160. You're taking 160 home every day. And then there are internships. The most common question is, what is the difference between co-op and internship if the student goes and works somewhere? Internships could be paid, could be unpaid. Co-ops are always paid. So if anybody is saying, well, I am interning at Google, so you can guess that whether so you can ask, are you getting paid or not? But if anybody's saying, I'm doing my co-op at Google or in Qualcomm or any other company, there's no doubt you're going to ask, so are you making anything? You'll say, so how much you making per hour, because it's always paid. And then the part-time job, which is 20 hours per week, 4 hours per day, that you could do on campus first year, off campus second year for masters, mostly on campus in at an undergraduate thing. But you can always get an off campus part time as well. But either it's undergrad or grad, it's gonna be 4 hours per day, 20 hours a week. Prerequisites for studying abroad. The thing is, you need to make the right decision at the right time, which is very important. If you're thinking of heading to the US for higher education, then you'll worry about the scholarships or the financial aid. So the right time to begin looking at the universities, looking at the entire journey, is the class ninth. So if you talk about going for undergraduate abroad, university would wait your profile building 4 years. During this time, you have to improve your academics. You have to undergo the assessment test, which is SAT, ACT, or the APs. I can talk about that in detail in my later slides. Essay guidance, university shortlisting. So technically, when you're working for a broad education, thinking of, and I made it not just limited to studying US, but it is for every country that you think of when you want to apply as an undergraduate. You can certainly think of making an early decision. Why this is important? Because they're just not going to look at your academics. Out of this 5 points that I've mentioned, academic is just one part, that you have to be a good student with good grades. But then they basically evaluate your profile. They look at your test as well. And then of course, then university shortlisting. Anybody with 60% would come and talk to us and say, well, how about going to Stanford or MIT? And you have a very low profile or no profile and with very average scores, you're not going to make it. So that's pretty important. Any university that you do select, you have to look at how many essays are they asking you. If they're asking you more on the essays being the most part that they look at rather than your profile or the academics or the assessment test. So this is so important. If you're going to Stanford, you're ended up going to write an undergraduate about 8 essays. It means essay is going to be your face. So you have to really make sure that when you're making the right decision, you have to really look at this 5 thing majorly. And then of course, when you're planning to apply to the universities or thinking of studying in the US, the most important timeline that you make is to make your applications. So there are many timelines for any student to apply. The most I preferred, or any student that you have seen or have understood, or even in the news when you look at, well, somebody got 2.5 crores of funding to go to Georgetown University or New York University, then you have to remember that they have made an early action application. Early action is divided into early decision, restrictive early action, single choice application. There are so many deeper meaning and the definition of all those things, but I can just give you an example. Right now, early action is to make your application. The university would have an early deadlines, which would be November 1st mostly, but a couple of university has October 15 deadline as well, and couple of them have up to November 15. When you apply for early action, you get early decision of the application. All right. There's called regular application, which is usually January 1st or January 15th or February 1st. So I'll give you an example. If you look at applying to New York University, their early deadline, early action would be in November. But the same application you could do by January in regular pool. Your chances of getting funding or scholarships are higher, or the acceptance rate is higher on the early side than the regular side. And then somebody comes up in March and say, hey, I want to go US. What do I do? You only have to look at the university which has the deadlines available, or they have the rolling admissions. So they can apply in March, April, it doesn't matter. Okay. So the most you're going to be worrying about early action. And there's something that I did not mention, but I would want to talk to you about. So sometimes you want to make full funding from an institution and they offer you early decision. So you sign the testimony that if I get into that university, I will withdraw my all application from every other university. You call it early decision. That's pretty famous, ED. When you apply to ED, institution would know, like New York University has an ED, they will know that Abby Bajaj has applied for computer science at an undergraduate level as an ED. That means if I accept Abby, Abby will come to my institution and would not go to any other institution and cannot even go to any other institution. So if they accept me and accept my financial aid request and I have an offer in hand, I would not go anywhere else. I cannot. I have to go to that institution. That is the beauty, that student mostly get full funding or an admit to a top notch when they apply for an early decision. However, when you apply as an early action, you're just applying early. There is no binding effect to it. An early decision, you cannot go. In early action, you go. Another example, at Harvard University, if you're applying to Harvard University or Yale University, which both are Ivy League university, now what Harvard does is Harvard's gonna give you single choice application. So you cannot apply for an early action. However, it's pretty competitive to get into those top universities, but I want you to really know about that. And then what do you do? How do you apply? So overall, applying to the US, you have undergraduate site, Common App, Coalition App, and then you go to university website. Both Common and Coalition App is a single application. All right. Many partners, many universities, about the top, I would say, private and public 150 universities that you can apply to. You basically go to their university website. With us, with Study Metro, the best part is that you basically consider applying to the university with an application fee waiver. So we have options to apply to about 100 universities where you pay no application fee at all. So I hope with this session, um, you may have gotten a couple of good information. Some of you may have already known about it. Some of you have known about it now. So if you got any questions, if you have any applications, the most I would discuss here, if you have anybody in the class 9, 10th, 11th, 12th in their 90s academically, and you bring them to us, we will make them prepared to get them the full scholarships. Study Metro works with so many universities in the US for undergraduate, and we have a track record of sending students on full funding or up to partial funding. So an average profile or a above average profile gets about 50% of scholarships. So we can make you prepare for that, and I'll be more than happy to take any questions you have. You want to write it down, you want to reach out to me at a later time, I'll be more than happy to answer that. Signing off, Abby.